So I wanted to talk about how this game works in terms of spending money and over leveling. I've done a video previously that talked about DLCs and all that, but as I've continued to play and grown, I've noticed that my performance is awfully similar to those who have not spent money. And that's, at first it was concerning. Or it's been also close to people who haven't spent as much money, because I think the general sentiment is that, oh, this game is pay to win, and just because you spend a lot of money means that you're astronomically higher. Turns out that's wrong as of right now, and that was made mostly apparent when I dipped a lot into getting first science, my Benwin up to a guaranteed 5 extra attacks. That's 800%, not based off of the item percent, but actual, like, here, I guess I'll just swap to him. So when picking the specializations, I actually pick the reckless attacks, which does AoE or a chance to do AoE instead of increasing extra attack chance. So there's no boosted attack chance. And my extra attack, I have an 800%. Just to give you a context of like, hey, that's cool, great. But that cost a lot of money. And when you look at his damage output, it's like, oh man, increases the damage of Benwin by 6,000% for each item. Whereas like other champions have like 1,000%. And you think like, whoa, that's like, you know, the item levels are so high, but really you have to like pay attention to the percents. It's only a little bit, like you have to double the item level to double the effect. And eventually that starts to add up into swaths of money or upgrades for a very small gain. And that's something that I wanted just to talk about with everyone, because there is that perception of, oh, you know, you're whaling or you're spending money. It's like, yes, but I'm starting to whale a lot less. Like most recently for the event for Paulton, I try and spend as little money as possible, because I know the differences aren't that high. I've personally voiced this concern to CNE and specifically for like Benwin, but in terms of seeing the game grow, I think it's important that they fix this issue, which is super tough to balance, because how do you incentivize players to spend money while not defeating the spirit of the free-to-play players so that they can also succeed? I don't have those kinds of answers. But if we see free-to-play players achieving in a similar time the same amount of stuff as paying players, well, I was going to say pay to win, but really just paying players, then why would people spend more money? And when I really was looking closer at, like, let's just say the collections, we see that's like, okay, here you have a little bit, it's like a bit more than a double, and then it's kind of less than a double, and then it's kind of less than a double in terms of effect, right? If it were double, this would go from 400 to 800. So when people are like, oh, I got an epic, you've only doubled the output. And then if it's a level 1, cool. When it goes to level 2, that's doubled. When it goes to 4, that's doubled again. But once you're going from like 100 to 200, those gains are so crazy far apart from each other. And when all of that translates to actual like number DPS output, the number that's right up here, I've seen that my numbers, and this is because I'm fully passive now, they're inferior to active players, which I think is cool. But before I understood it as that, it was concerning, because it was like, how am I not able to reach the same amount of damage as other people when I'm throwing full pots out there? As well as I was even doing active play. Turns out it was a DPS display bug. I think it's been normalized, but I've also just said, you know what? I'm done playing actively. I'm not doing bench swaps or anything like that, because I don't need to. I don't need to be the very best and progress through the game. I just want to help people and have fun. But that kind of leads me to the whole, should people spend money on this game? And I think it still sits with, do you want, or like the questions are based on, do you want to support the company and what they're doing? I certainly do. But I'm not going to go so far as to spend a lot of money. My comfort level has essentially shrunk a bit. And also over leveling I don't worry about getting super high level epics anymore because it's like, oh, you only doubled the output. It's like, okay, you can get a little bit further than me if you use that champion in that way. But for the most part, those numbers aren't going to change a lot. Like it's like 1 E9 versus 2 E9. Okay, great. Or even 3 E or 4 E9. It's like that's not really pushing you because the important number there is the E9. Yes, that might add up cumulatively with every champion, but it's not to the drastic effect that I think other people were thinking. I could be wrong. I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts down and help other people understand if you guys are watching this. That's really it. What do you guys think? Do you think that the upgrades are worth it, especially with golden epics and epics or shinies? Like how do you feel these upgrades are handled? Could they be a little bit higher, or could the curve of item levels be greater so that it incentivized gaining more item levels instead of it dropping off, like with diminishing returns? Let me know. Either talk to me in the Discord, put it in the comments below. I definitely want to see the community's reaction to this. So yeah, anyway, that's just my thoughts. Hope you guys have a good day and good luck.